Hello, my friends. Hello, it's Matthew Street, and welcome to my channel. And as always, folks, I truly appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And folks, I'm very excited to be making this video because, we love so many artists in our musical artists in our day-to-day lives, and sometimes so many that we can't get into them and be hardcore into them every moment of every day. We move off to other genres, other artists, other musical types. But we always eventually come back to those we love. And folks, I want to tell you a little story, and I'm here to celebrate briefly, just for a few minutes, an album that had a big impact on my life. And no, it wasn't a Beatles album, although the Beatles have been my number one since I was 3 years old in 1964. There's another big artist, and I think you know who it is already by what I'm wearing. But folks, my first full studio Elvis Presley LP was this one. Okay, this isn't the original, but my parents had bought this LP after the '68 comeback special came out. And folks, I've never looked back. Now, let me tell you the backstory and then about the album I really want to celebrate today. Now, the 1968 Elvis comeback special, or his NBC special, it cemented my love for Elvis. What happened was I had been aware of Elvis prior to that. I remember hearing the singles. My cousins and different aunts and uncles had Elvis music around, so I knew who he was. I might have seen a movie or two when I was very young, but I knew who he was, and I kind of liked what I heard from what I can remember. But in '68, towards the end of 1968, my family used to gather for special televised events. I told you about seeing Ed Sullivan in '64. We saw the Beatles again in '65 over at my uncle's house. We would see sporting events or big sporting activities, whether it was a big World Series baseball or a football championship or hockey or something. My aunt and uncle in Providence, Rhode Island had the best system. They had one of those big, long, 6 foot or so long, made of oak or maple, stereo console systems with the AM FM radio dials on top, the turntable over here on top, 2 big speakers on the side. You slide open the center doors. You could store albums in there. You could put stuff in there, cleaning materials. It was like a multimedia center. It was one of the most state-of-the-art for its time in the 60s, okay? So my parents didn't have that. I started out living on a second floor apartment with my parents in Providence. We eventually moved to a small house. But I remember up until the early 70s or late 60s, we had a little black and white TV. We had nothing, So we'd go over to my aunt and uncle's for big televised events. That was like now when you go over someone's house on their 4K 75-inch flat screen TV on their wall and with a big surround stereo system. But back then, this is the best they had. A 6 foot long stereo console, media center. So we go over there. Beatles, other shows, sports. Elvis was going to be on the big '68 comeback special. They had a color TV. We were going, okay? So we went over there late '68, and I had been aware of him, but when I went to my uncle's on that night, my aunt and uncle's, everyone was so excited to see what they were seeing, to see Elvis up on that stage, up on that screen, performing the leather show, the sit-down show, the stand-up leather show, when he came out and did If I Can Dream, dressed like that, the skits, the different things he was, everyone was mesmerized by it, including me, and I was reacting to the reactions of the adults in the room, how they were into this. Some of them were more into Elvis than others. Younger ones were into him. Obviously, the older ones of, my aunt and uncle who were older, they weren't as into Elvis. They were, from an earlier era. But it was just an event. It was a happening. And it's so fun and so much joy and memories for me to think of being back in my aunt and uncle's living room watching something like that Elvis comeback special. Now, it affected me so much to see their reaction and to see Elvis. I was mesmerized by him and by what was happening around me. And although I was a young Beatles fan coming up the ranks, I became an Elvis fan. And I have been an Elvis fan ever since. Although the Beatles are my number one, you got the drum head over here. I'm just a Beatles fanatic. You know that. Beatles-centric channel. Elvis is right up there, folks. He is in that echelon of artists that I love and adore. And I don't always talk about him. Earlier on in my YouTube career, I used to talk about him a lot, but I kind of got away from him a little bit. But lately, I've been getting back into Elvis. I've been pulling out some of the albums, pulling out some of the CDs, bringing them up on my Spotify when I'm out and about, and I've been getting into it again. And Elvis is kind of known as a singles artist for the most part. A lot of people don't think of Elvis having like these great albums. Like, the Beatles had Sgt. Pepper or Rubber Soul or Revolver, or, album-orientated artists. Elvis is known as a singles artist, having numerous hit singles throughout his career. And a lot of his albums were hodgepodges thrown together by Colonel Tom Parker. Elvis would do a recording session. They'd throw a few songs from that session here and something from this here, and they'd put together an album and throw it out there, or it might be on a movie soundtrack or something. Some great songs, great music. He didn't release too many proper, like, this is an album, like a piece of music that I'm presenting to the world. The first album, Elvis Presley, I would consider an album. Even the second one, Elvis, an album, and he had others, Elvis Country later in like 1970. He did put out albums, and they're out there, okay? But my one favorite, and it was after the 68 comeback special that I had this album. This album came out from these sessions, From Elvis in Memphis. Now, this album, folks, knocked my socks off. I love this album from the first time I ever heard it and got into it. From Elvis in Memphis, after the comeback special, he was hot to make some new modern music. He went into the studio with a crackerjack crew at American Sound Studios in Memphis. Chips Moman, I believe that's how I pronounce his name, Chips Moman was going to be producing, and it was following that, like I said, the big 68 comeback special. Following that, he had the drive, he had the desire, and the big If I Can Dream single from this album, was out there, and then Memories was the second single from this album. Elvis was really starting to climb back up again after that comeback special. He was becoming relevant again. And he just, folks, from those sessions with Chips Moman, he cut, it was his most productive period of his career, approximately 32 masters from the sessions with Chips at American Sound Studios. 32. I think it's 32. You can correct me. His most productive recording period ever. Ever. In my opinion, it's his finest recording period ever. Albeit the stuff he did in the late 50s, even the early 60s with another album, group I consider an album, Elvis is Back, from the early 60s. That is a self-contained album. Great stuff. Love it all. Sun Sessions, right up there. But I'm sorry, the stuff he did at American Sound Studios in 1969 is, in my opinion, his finest material. The finest stuff he ever put out. His most realized LP is right here. And other albums came out after this with more of the tracks from those sessions. But this one, the first one, this is the most realized album of Elvis's career, in my humble opinion, period, end of story. And you have so many great cuts from this album, but there was the alternative, there was the other cuts from this album that were either singles or on other releases, like Suspicious Minds was from these sessions, but it's not on the album. Don't Cry Daddy, not on the album. Kentucky Rain, Rubberneckin'. I could go on and on and on, folks. But this album here is absolutely wonderful. I think it's fabulous. Country soul, you can call it. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I'm just here to sing its praises because I had put it down for a while and now I'm back into it again. And folks, let me tell you, if you don't want just the standard album, I think every one of you in the vinyl community, I know Steve Schnee, he's into Elvis. He's talked about Elvis. Another one of my buddies, Ed from the King's Court areas right there. Ed's my Elvis connection. He loves this album. He'll talk about it. I subscribe to like an Elvis the Man channel out there. I watch other Elvis channels. And I think Anthony, Gambler 812, he's a big Elvis fan. He'll talk about Elvis. But where's the rest of you guys out there who you know, show your vinyl and show your records and stuff like that. We need more people talking about Elvis a little bit. Come on, everybody, put out a video. Go listen to this album, just it by itself with the tracks from this album. Or, you know, get one of the compilations. There's a great legacy edition on CD, on a double CD you can get of this, folks. You know, and it's got all the extra singles and bonus cuts and alternate takes and everything is on here. Or if you want to go hardcore, you can go to Follow That Dream label, the RCA Elvis Presley's site label. You get something like this with like everything on it. You know, all the alternate takes, first takes, undubbed masters, 2 CD set. There's American Sound Studio. It's absolutely fabulous, folks. Fabulous, fabulous stuff. So you can get that from FTD, Follow That Dream, at Elvis's site, or Graceland.com. You can get the double legacy edition, which has all great stuff. Just go with the straight album. Or for me, though, one of my favorites was my favorite release of all these, and these are great. I love these, okay? But my favorite of all these sessions, I don't know what it was, but back in 1987, RCA did something I thought was brilliant. They put out this, the Memphis record, 1969 in review, Elvis Presley. In my opinion, this is my favorite compilation from these sessions because you got, it's just mixed so well, in my opinion. It sounds so good. I just love this. All right, call it. I don't know what to say other than I just love it, love it, love it. This is my favorite compilation of all the early 69 Elvis at American Sound Studio sessions right here. Get this, folks. Come on, all you vinyl community people out there. Come on, get one of these. Either get the original album or get this one from 1987. You can get this, folks. It's readily available. All right, it's readily available. Let me just take it out of the sleeve here. Here's the back. Look at this thing. 2 albums. Look at the material you're getting on here. No, is it as comprehensive as the double CD Legacy Edition? No. Is it as comprehensive as the FTD double CD edition? No. But the sound of this is absolutely fabulous. You love it, folks, and you can get this readily. It's out there. It's available. This is my favorite compilation of the 69 sessions. Folks, I'm just here to say, I'm just getting back into Elvis again. You know, you put artists down, you walk. Sometimes I don't listen to certain Beatle albums for a long time. Then I come back to them. Same with solo Beatles, same with other artists. But I've been doing it lately with Elvis. I kind of been neglecting Elvis lately on my channel. I got video about him out there. Go back and, you know, put Matthew Street Elvis and videos will pop up in your search. But I'm back into it again, folks. I'm just back into Elvis again. I love the guy, love his music. And so I'm just here to say, come on, some people out there. It's an assignment, okay? Matthew Street's giving you a challenge, an assignment. Though, come on, Mike, MGK Boston, and Gary at Physical Format Rock and Roll, and Alex at Beer and Vinyl, and who else? Steve at All the World's a Stage. I'm sorry, Alan C. Records. Come on, all my peeps out there. Let's go. Let's see a review of one of these albums. Come on, the 69 sessions, American Sound Studios with Chips Moman. And you come back here and tell me how cool it is, because this is his most realized album ever, in my opinion. Although there are many other Elvis albums I love. Okay, I won't get into all of them now. We'll be here for 5 hours. But this one is my favorite. This is the one. After I was that little kid and saw that special, and then I got a hold of this baby right here, I have never looked back. I am an Elvis fan, and this proves it right here. You listen to this, and you tell me I'm wrong. Because I'm not wrong, okay? Elvis rules, baby. Don't you forget it. You check it out and come tell me. And I'm out of here now, but I wanted to get a video out to you, and I said, damn it, I'm doing an Elvis video, so here I am. I love you all. Bye-bye.